Hi, everybody. Hey, hey. Hi, all my YouTube fam out there. I see you. I see you. I'm reading your comments. How y'all doing? I'm going to address some of these comments just because I feel like it's important. And I want to be sure that we let the Facebook people get here too before we get into this discussion. But you guys are talking about the bead box, and I want to continue with that. But let's give everybody, there's Facebook. Facebook's catching up with us a little bit. Hey, Ruth. Hi, Cindy. Colleen is here. Jan is here. Annie's here. Regina's here. Everybody's in the house, and more people are making their way in. So good to see everyone. I hope you guys had a good weekend. I wasn't ready for mine to be over with. I worked yesterday, but not on like work stuff. I had to work on my house yesterday, and yesterday was the only day I had to do it. And like today, like I slept, but my body is just worn out. Like I'm physically tired. My body is kind of drained. Hi. It's so good to see everybody. I love it because everybody's like, hey, hey, hi, hey, hey, good afternoon, hello. I love it. I love it. It would be so boring if y'all never said anything, you know? All right, so we've got about 100 people in here. We'll probably get another 150 more. But I don't want to hang around too long for them to show up. They'll get here, and if they need to, go back and watch the replay, they can. Let's talk. Okay, let's talk. So I've got a couple of housekeeping things for you guys, and then we're gonna discuss this. Sorry, something in my eye. We're gonna discuss this month's Bargain Bead Box because there's some mixed emotions going on with this one, and I want to address those because why not? I mean, total transparency. That's what I'm all about, right? So before we get started with that, though, let's talk about what's going on this week. So this week for me is a pretty straightforward week, not anything major. We've got a live here right now. We've got a live with the Hardwired group at 4 p.m. I'm going to touch on that here in just a second. I don't have a Michael's class this week as far as I'm aware. I should probably check the calendar before I say that, or maybe Nicole can tell me. I'm pretty sure I don't have another Michael's class until July. Could be wrong. Who knows? I can't function without Nicole, Colleen, and Kathy, so I don't really know. And we've got our regular Feel Good Friday show at 1 p.m. on Friday, as well as our Hardwired at 4 p.m. on Friday as well. But what I do want to tell you about this week is that the Hardwired group is open for enrollment. So if you are a live wire, which all of you are, I mean, just by association, you are a live wire. That's just kind of the title that you guys gave yourselves, and I hope you wear it proudly. But if you are a live wire and you're interested in becoming a hardwired, there is a difference, right? The live wire community is completely 100% free. We have a great community. It's huge. It's growing by the day. I love it. I love all of you more than you could ever know. And then I have a smaller little group called the Hardwired group. That is my paid Facebook group. You do have to pay. You can pay monthly or you can pay quarterly. If you choose to pay quarterly, you get a very deep discount on the overall cost. And basically it is a group where we have a smaller group and we do a little bit harder projects. They're not crazy hard, so I don't want to scare anybody away that's a beginner, because I try to keep it as beginner friendly as possible, but I do challenge you in a way that I don't necessarily challenge you here. And we are growing every single day, not just as the numbers of the group are concerned, but as our techniques and our creativity, and just really watching everybody become some of the best jewelry designers ever. Like, the talent is incredible. If you want to come and be a part of that, we only open for enrollment once a month, and it usually falls at the end of the month into the beginning of the next month. That just happens to be this week. So if you are looking for something new to do for the rest of your summer, come hang out, be a part of the Hardwired group. I promise it is worth every single penny, and it's not super expensive. I don't like to do a whole lot of chat about how much it costs here on these lives, but you can definitely find out. You definitely want to go over and apply to be part of the group, and you want to look for the questions. Okay. The questions are the keys to the kingdom, if you will. If you don't get the questions, you need to take back your, you need to apply. I always struggle with like how to explain it. You need to reapply if you don't get the questions. The questions part, sometimes Facebook gives them, sometimes they don't, but they are there for a reason. You got to answer those questions so that we know where to bill you, right? We can't bill you. You can't get in. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. So if for whatever reason you apply to the group and Facebook doesn't send you the questions, reapply, because Facebook just is funny about things like that. And it's not really like, there's not a person, that's sitting there doing that. But there is a person, Miss Kathy, who will come after you. I'm just kidding. She won't come after you at all. But she will send you your invoicing information. She handles all of that. So just know that you will be hearing from Kathy. You will not be hearing from me. It will be Kathy, and she's in charge of all of that. She's the boss. We do what Kathy says. Oh, all right. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that Hardwire is open for enrollment all week. You're going to hear me say it again on Friday. Let's see. Anything else I need to tell you guys? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. So I think we're just going to get right into it. So it is that time of the month again where we design with the Bargain Bead Box. Okay. And the June Bargain Bead Box was a little late this month. I don't remember what the reasoning was behind that, but it didn't ship at the normal time. So I didn't get mine until just recently. And I'm seeing a lot of mixed things. Kathy says, yes, we do what Kathy says. She doesn't even have to, all she says is one word with a couple of dots, and I'm like, straighten it up. It's serious, y'all. Okay, so anyway, we are going to talk about the box itself, because there's some mixed emotions about this one, and I kind of love that. I'm not big on the drama, right? But this is bead drama, so this is totally different. I feel like, and I read through a lot of the comments here, particularly YouTube comments, because the YouTube group gets to hang out a little bit before the live starts in the comment section. And some people were not loving this box, and some people were not loving this box for a combination of reasons. One of the biggest things that people don't particularly care for this box is the gold. The other thing that they don't particularly care for is the color palette. The other thing is the findings or the lack thereof. So let's discuss that for a second, because I am 110% a Bargain Bead Box fan. I love them. I've worked with that company for several years. I absolutely adore them. Their customer service is top notch, and I am never disappointed with a box. And let me tell you why I'm never disappointed, because I always look at it like as a challenge. So that doesn't mean that every single box that comes I love. I mean, that's just, like I said, you're going to get total transparency here. I don't always love it. I don't always love the color palette. I don't always love the metal choices. I don't always love the little extras, but I love it in the sense that, number one, the value is incredible. It's less than $20. You get a 30% off coupon that you can use for the entire month. You can reorder all the things that you love, and you get access to their shopping site, which is phenomenal. So there's a lot to love. I love the boxes that I don't like, because I feel like they make me think outside my comfort zone. And as a designer, as a creator, and as an artist, I'm always looking for ways to kind of expand my creativity and to challenge myself. It's very easy as a creator to get stuck in a rut and make the same things over and over again, or to stay and play safe. This is something where a lot of times you're going to find yourself using materials, using metals, using beads that you wouldn't necessarily use otherwise. And I think that's what makes this so great. Maybe you don't love the color palette. Maybe you don't like the gold. Maybe, this orangey color is just not your thing. But you know what? Maybe that's a sign that you need to try it, because that's the only way you're ever going to grow as an artist. And with the price point being what it is, you can afford to totally screw something up if you want to, just for the sake of learning something. So that's me. That's the way I I kind of approach Bargain Bead Box. I also pretty much approach my life this way as well, because and I don't know that I even really noticed it until somebody just recently told me. We were sitting and having a conversation about, how boring life would be if you just sat in your room all the time. It was like the conversation had more to do than that. That was kind of the basis of what got launched the conversation. And the person just kind of looked at me for a second and they were like, you know what? You are the ultimate student of life. And like, even when bad stuff happens to me, or I get a box of beads that I don't particularly care for, I'm always like looking for the silver lining and seeing what I can learn from the situation. And I know that seems really cheesy to apply to a box of beads, but honestly, that's what's gotten me where I am as far as my creativity and my jewelry making is concerned. If I didn't do things that I didn't like, or work with beads or techniques that I didn't like, I would never grow. So, I mean, as corny as that is, I mean it. It's true. And I am a perpetual student. Like, I'm a huge sponge. I want to soak up and learn as much as I can about everything in the world, especially when it comes to jewelry making. So if you're not loving this palette, maybe that's a really good reason for you to use it. If you don't love gold, it's probably a really good reason for you to use it. I am also not a huge fan of gold, and I will be 100% with you. I feel like this box is missing something. The color palette, I'm gonna show it to you in just a second. I know we're doing a lot of talking and I am gonna show all of this to you. But the color palette I adore. There are two things in here that, like, well, there's a couple of things in here, but one thing that is one of my favorite colors in the entire world, and I don't really have a name for it. I love it, like, from the depths of my soul. However, I feel like this box is missing something, and I don't quite know what it is. I don't know if it's because there's not a lot of extra cool findings in this one, or I just don't know what it is, but I really do feel like something is missing. But even at that, I still find the value to be top notch. And I mean, I can't complain too much when it's less than $20, let's be honest. So, somebody's taking screenshots of me. I believe that's Colleen. Colleen, are you taking screenshots of my face? I can only see it like this big up in the corner, so I don't even know what it is, but I got a feeling it's going to be bad. I'm going to turn y'all around. Oh my goodness. All right. So let's take a look at it. This tripod needs a little work, and I need to brighten things up a little bit. Okay, so Bargain Bead Box. Green. I don't get. Jessica says, I like the color palette. I don't get the green. Is there green? I don't see any green. You got green in yours? I'm a little confused. And then I said something about orange, and somebody was like, orange? There's orange? Like, what's happening here? Okay, hold on. So, summer ready tones of orange cream and red blend with high quality gold findings is this month's collection. Okay, that's what it says on the paper. I don't have any green. The only odd color, and it's really not odd at all, that I have is purple. So I've got this purple in here. Did anybody else get green? Because I didn't get any green. This is number 16. This is Lavender AB. Let's look. Let's look. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys what my 110% favorite thing is in this entire box. Is right here in the center. If you've been with me a while, you know that I have a collection of this color, and I don't know why. I very rarely use it. It's just one of those things that I hoard because I adore it. It's not orange. It's not peach. It's not red. It's not pink. I don't know what it is. It's copper with iridescence to it. And it is not coming across on camera nearly as awesome as it is. But whatever this is, and whoever's mind this color was created from, I just want to give them a big squishy hug and like pinch their cheeks, because this color gives me life and it doesn't look good on camera. So me waxing poetic about it is really kind of fruitless because you're just not getting it, but it's so pretty. Oh, I love it. And you don't see that iridescence hardly at all. At least I don't see it through the camera lens. But I adore it. My second favorite thing, and by the way, this was, these are just glass beads. They're calling them magma, which I think is something that Swarovski used at one point to kind of describe that color. I'll take it. It's copper with iridescence. My second favorite thing are these drusies, which go with that. They have that same kind of coppery, purpley, iridescent thing going on. These are, excuse me, what did I do with the little baggie? These are electroplated druzy agate beads. And like that, there's like a whole little world in there, and I just want to live there. Like I want to decorate my whole house to look just like that. And I don't even know what color that is. Orange? No. Copper? No. Green? Purple? I don't know, but it's gorgeous. And I want all the things like that. So those are my two favorite things in this box. So just by this alone, I was pleased, like 100%. Forget the fact that there's gold in it. Forget the fact that there wasn't enough other things. This was enough to make my day. Then you throw in some of my other favorite things in the entire world, which is carnelian, and like I'm a happy girl. So there's a strand of really deep, deep red carnelian, which is just gorgeous. Again, another one of my very favorite gemstones. This one is some sardonyx, which always works really well with carnelian and sometimes gets mistaken for carnelian when it doesn't have all those bands in it. It also, you know, is in the agate family. But yeah, so pretty, so pretty. Love it, love it. This whisper of, I don't even know what you want to call this. It's just like this really beautiful shimmery. It's not quite white. It's got a little bit of a pink to it, which you don't see on camera either, but it's just, they're just pretty. I mean, they're just super, super pretty. And then we've got some other cylinder beads. Also very, very pretty. So all in all, I think the color palette is gorgeous. I mean, I'm just saying. But that's just me. And I realize there's another piece of carnelian. I realize that a lot of people don't like orange. They just don't. It makes them uncomfortable. I am not a tangerine orange person. I am a dark, dark, deep kind of burnt red orange person. So it makes me happy, but I realize that this can be a challenge for some of you. And that's cool. It should be, right? It should be for some of you. It's going to make you grow. These are super cool. Okay. So I had this pop of purple, which I think works, right? It really kind of ties the drusies and the sardonyx together into this color palette, because you can see where it's pulling the purple from here. It's pulling the purple out of the sardonyx beads. It really just kind of ties everything together. And it works. And I like that it wasn't a ton. Like they stuck with the orange palette, the warmth of that orange, and only just kind of hinted with the purple, and didn't make it so obnoxious, because it could have been like too much purple. I think would have changed the entire feeling of this. There are some freshwater pearls. The one thing I don't love about the freshwater pearls is that they already have loops on them, which I know some people are really going to appreciate. But for me personally, I would have rather just had them without the loops on them. Some people are going to love that because you don't have to do anything to them. For me, it's like taking away one of my favorite things, and that's wrapped loops. So I don't know how I'm going to use those. I may cut the metal off of them. This is pretty. This is a resin druzy. Or I'm sorry, resin geode. So it's not real, but it looks pretty darn good, right? This is going to be one of those things where if you wanted to mess around with it and you messed it up, you wouldn't feel super bad about it because it's not a real geode, right? But still really pretty and works. of course. All right, and then we're going to look at the findings, which I feel like this month around, I don't know, there was just something missing. So there are really only two little components, and these little chandelier components, though I love them, they're on the small side. I don't know. It just seems like this whole box is kind of missing something. There are some spring ring clasps, which are my least favorite clasps in the whole world, but we're going to design on the fly. And I think I'm going to use this in the front for that exact reason, because it is outside of my comfort zone. It's not something that I'm super comfortable working with. So I think we're going to use it. There's a little bit of gold chain. There are some gold jump rings and ear wires. Okay. But as far as the hardware and stuff is concerned, that's like all there was this month. And that's why I say I feel like it's missing a little bit of something, because I'm used to there being like some really cool extra components. There just doesn't seem to be this month. But as Alicia pointed out, they included higher quality metals, and that is different. And that's what's changed a little bit. So you kind of have to give and take. Like if you want the higher quality metals, then they're gonna skimp out on, you know, the amount of metal pieces. And so really, because I don't want to depend on the metals, I'm just happy with the bead part of this. And I'm going to show you how to make some of this stuff work. Okay. So if you're struggling, let's play. All right. So I am designing on the fly. I have, however, been thinking about this box a little bit and thinking about like what I wanted to do and how I wanted to put something together on the fly. So let me show you what I was thinking, and hopefully that's what we'll do. I'm going to do simple stringing here. Okay. So I'm going to do some simple stringing, and I'm going to do some wire wrapping. What I was thinking though was that I would do a 2-strand. I don't know if I'm going to do a full 2-strand necklace or if it's just going to be a faux. But what I was thinking was, I'm going to go ahead and snip these, and I'm going to snip these. So what I was thinking was that we would take, starting in the very center, we're going to take one of these little chandelier components, and this one's got a little bent. Straighten that back out. All right, so I'm going to take one of the little chandelier components and one of these spring ring clasps that I don't love. I just don't. I never use them. I feel like they break. And I feel like because I don't love them, that's the exact reason why I need to use them. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. So I'm actually going to use this in the front of my piece, and I'm going to use it as a clasp, but I'm also going to use it as my drop for my ring to drop my focal on. Okay. This is going to be the center. And I'm thinking the first layer of this needs to be, I think, just stringing, but I don't know for sure, because wire wrapping is always kind of like my go-to, if you will. Like that's all I ever want to do is wire wrap. And so again, I'm kind of forcing myself to do things a little different today. But I'm thinking like maybe alternating these gorgeous glass beads with these oh, come on. I need that in my life. Like, I don't even want to use this. I just want to keep it and hold it and look at it. It's so pretty. I can't take it. Okay. So I'm thinking that, right? And I'm thinking I'm going to pop some of these little daisy spacers in between there to kind of to pull all the gold together, right? And I'm thinking this is just going to be straight stringing for this part. And then I'm thinking for the top, I'm going to take these little babies, right? And I'm going to do a beaded chain as the second layer for this. And then I'm going to take some of these and bring them down here into this bottom. And I don't know if I want to like full on make a big, huge, I feel like this is just too big. I feel like this is going to be kind of a smaller, more understated piece, but I don't really know. We haven't quite gotten there yet. So we'll see what happens, but let's start with this and see where things go. So I planned in advance. I grabbed some 19-strand gold color bead stringing wire. Okay. And I think I'm going to use the 0.4 4, 6. Just because the druzies they're not super heavy, but I do feel like they need a little something extra, a little extra strength, if you will. Grab some wire guardians. And I need to grab my crimps too. Hold on. Okay. All right. So first things first. I don't know if we're going to string I just don't know if there are enough beads to do an entire. So we may have to make up the length with some chain, but let's just get started and see what happens. Okay. I just don't know how this is going to go. That's because it's designed on the fly and that's what we do. So I'm going to cut a good length of my bead stringing wire. Okay. And I'm going to open up my bead caps. I'm going to thread a bead cap on and then a wire guardian. I'm going to take the bead string wire back down through the wire guardian. But before I go back down through my my crimp, I'm gonna attach this directly to this clasp. So it's got, see how it's got that ring on it? I'm gonna thread my bead stringing wire through that ring. And then I just want to drop that down so that it's sitting in the wire guardian. And then go back through my crimp. Okay. So you want to be sure that your bead stringing wire is not crossing within your crimp. And where's my crimper tool? Okay. And now I'm going to place that into the back notch of my crimper tool, the one that has the tooth, so that when I squeeze down, you can see it further separates the bead stringing wire within that crimp, because I don't want those two wires touching each other. Okay. Then I'm going to turn this sideways and I'm going to put it in the front notch of the crimper tool and give it a squeeze as well. And that's just going to tidy up the crimp, just make it a little bit smaller. Okay. Always give it the tug test to make sure that you've got a really good crimp. And then we're going to come in with our cutter tool and we're going to trim off the excess, because we don't need that excess wire. You don't need to thread it through beads unless you just want to. Maybe we'll thread it through one bead and trim it off. But as far as like running it through, you know, several beads for insurance, that's just not necessary if you've crimped properly. So trim that off. Okay. Now we're going to use some of these little spacers. Okay. Now the spacer is just going to kind of bring that gold all the way through the piece. Sam uses a lot of spacers in his work, and I'm always envious of that. I love his use of metal, so kind of channeling my inner Sam today. Sara never struggles with crossed wires. She must live right. I'm not so sure that that's what it's about. I think it's just because I've only done it about a zillion times. She must live right. That's funny. That's so funny. Oh, whoops, I forgot. We're doing these little spacers. That's why it's hard for me to do spacers. It's hard for me to incorporate metal because I forget. I'm just like, just string the beads on. Just string it up. String it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to string every single one of the druzies, because there are more of these like magma colored beads than there are the druzy beads. And then we'll kind of decide like how this is going to play out. Because with the clasp in the front, I'm like, I don't really know how to use the chain, but I can break this up, still put chain in the back. So we'll figure it out, right? We're in this together. That's how our design on the flies work. We'll figure it out. And if nothing else, I'll just make this really, really short and we'll pretend like it's a really long necklace. I'm all about pretending. We'll just pretend, okay? All right. Hi, Linda. The crossed wires. I love it. We have the live wires, we have the hard wires, and we have the crossed wires. Like, yes. And the crossed wires are, we're a little on the crazy side, I think. Look how pretty. Look how pretty. Oh my gosh. I'm sitting that one right there. I don't know why I'm sitting them to the side. I really don't. I'm going to use them regardless. It's just like, I feel like they need to be maybe up towards the front or something. I don't know. Oh, that doesn't go there. See what happens when I chit chat. My little 4 spiral components had wires sticking out. They could be weapons. Oh no, you're gonna have to trim those. They had wires sticking out? That's dangerous. Colin says I'm definitely a crossed wires kind of girl. Right? Oh, you guys, that would make the prettiest bracelet. It's so simple, but it's so beautiful. Oh, I love that. And I don't even wear gold, but that's just pretty. So pretty. Okay, let's keep going. I don't need to get distracted. I have a plan. I need to stick to the plan. Danielle. I think I saw Sam is here. I don't know for sure. You guys, Sam and Q met each other virtually. It was so cute. Like 2 of my favorite people in the whole world meeting each other. Like my heart almost exploded. Oh, and then Kathy and Ruth met Q too. We all went to dinner on Sunday. I don't even know what day it is, y'all. Colleen and Nicole still need to meet him. So I gotta have everybody's like approval, you know? I gotta have everybody's blessing there. All right, so gosh, that's so pretty. Like that's a pretty like I love it as a bracelet, but it's just so simple. Simple stringing is so good for the soul. But I gotta tell you, even as just a single stranded necklace, I would wear that all day. And I'm not really like, this is not even my style, but it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. All right, let's keep going here. I realize that just plain stringing can be a little bit boring to watch, so I apologize for not being super interesting at the moment. I think it's okay. Oh, Wanda, it's so funny. Wanda says, picture Sam and Q circling each other, giving the evil eye, making sure neither ever hurts Sara in any way. I would have been like, I would have felt like, you know, the ultimate princess had that been the case, but that is so not how it happened. And what's funny is that Sam is not like, Sam's a lover. He's not a fighter, but he did say something along those lines. And if you read between the lines with Sam, it was like Sam's way of saying, don't mess with her. And I thought it was so adorable and so just so perfect. Sam was like, Sarah's my work wife. And like, it was funny and we giggled, but it was Sam's way of saying, like, you better watch it. In a very Sam loving, open heart kind of way. You know what I mean? Like Sam was saying, like, this is my family. Don't mess with her. And it was absolutely perfect. I don't even know if Sam's still here. Oh, he is here. Hi, Sam. I was saying loverly things about you, Sam. What did you might have to go back and you might have to rewind. It was super cute though. All right, I'm almost done. I keep forgetting the spacers. Urgh. I'm almost done with this strand, okay? Funny. So yeah, he passed the test with Sam, and then he had to go meet Kathy, and Kathy had Ruth with her, which was awesome because I got to meet Ruth in person. And they both kind of, you know, they didn't grill him, but I did notice them noticing him. You know what I mean? Like they were checking out and making sure that everything was on the up and up. Aw. I'm getting all the feels, y'all. All right, so they're my two favorite druzy beads, and I'm like, do I really want to use them? Like, I just want to sit them to the side. I'm serious about this. Do you ever feel this way about beads? Like, I have absolutely no real reason to not include these in this other than the fact that I just love them and I just want to hold them. Okay, I have real problems. Let's test out and see how long our necklace is, because this is going to be pretty darn short and it's just not going to be long enough to make a double strand. So what we're going to have to do here, I'm thinking, is I feel like I'm going to have to break this into two. And oh, Kathy said he's a very gentle person. I liked it. He's oh, okay. I can't with y'all right now. I can't. Because I'm like all up in my feels today. And I just, yeah. Okay. So I don't have enough here. What we've got going on is about 13 inches, and that is not going to be long enough for a double strand anything. So what I'm thinking here, yeah, I'm going to save these. I'm just not going to, like, they're sitting to the side. Maybe I'll make earrings out of them or something. We're 2 beads short and I just can't stop it from happening. So what I think I'm going to do is let's take a look here. Let's put one more of these magma beads on this, and let's see where our even, like what makes half for this. Okay. So if you're ever in this situation, this is design on the fly at its greatest. I don't know that I'd call it greatest, but okay. So our middle is going to be right here at this bead right here. Okay. So I have a couple of options. I can come in where this bead is at the center. Okay. Now remember, the reason this all matters is because the clasp is going to be in the front, right? If the clasp was not going to be in the front, it wouldn't make any difference whatsoever. I could just add some chain to this and make the length, but because the clasp is in the front, I have to make this even, and I want to keep all of the beads to the front, right? So it's going to go like this. What I need for there to be filler in the back while this still is a singular strand. So my choices are, I can cut the bead stringing wire into 2 pieces, okay? And I can put a wire guardian here, and then I can cut a piece of chain and put the chain between these two, right? Make this a strand with a wire guardian and a crimp on both ends, right? And connect them with the chain. Or I can forget all of the chain and come in and just string some of these beautiful magma beads just like that, right? Maybe put the spacers between them. I don't even know that they need the spacers between them. But I think this is what I'm going to do. The only problem with this is that it means that all of this that I've put on, we're going to have to undo. So sorry, y'all. But I do want you to realize that you have options there. Like you don't have to take it apart. You could cut your bead stringing wire. You can add your chain pieces in there. I mean, you've got a lot of options. Okay. What the? All right, so I'm going to use the magma beads. I'm going to try to string these up quickly. I realize like stringing is the most boring thing in the world to watch. I apologize. We're going to go quick. At least try to. We want this layer to be, I'm looking for like 18 inches because I want the shorter layer to be about 16 inches, right? So you want to be sure that your first layer is long enough. You don't want it to be a choker. I mean, unless that's what you want. But then if you make your second layer even shorter, then you're really going to choke yourself. And I don't think that's what we're going for. So Sam says, I don't know what story was told, but always. So I'll tell it again, Sam. So I was just saying, like, because Wanda said that she envisioned you and Q meeting each other, like where you were both like circling each other and kind of eyeing each other up and down, like to let each other know, like, you don't mess with Sara, for like you to be saying that to him and for him to be saying it to you, but with body language, you know, like a whole, like, I don't know, lions in the jungle. I have no idea, but that's just the picture she painted for all of us. And I said, well, it kind of happened that way, but in a different, non-threatening kind of way, because Sam is a lover, not a fighter. And so Sam's words to Q were, Sara is my work wife. And that was all that, like, that was exactly what needed to be said, because that was like your way of saying, this is my family, don't mess with my family, but saying it in a loving, like non-threatening kind of way, but still saying, you know, look at what I've done. Look at, oh, y'all. I just can't today. I just can't. Like, now that I'm worried about leaving out the spacers, now I'm literally adding 2 spacers. We are going to get through this design, and it is going to be pretty. So before anybody out there gets a little cranky. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to take a quick little measurement. Okay. So we're at almost 11 inches. So let's see. Let's add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's add about 6 more of these, and then we're going to finish this. We're going to put all of this back on here. Okay. And I feel like that'll give this the length that it needs. Okay. So we'll restring all of this up, and then we're gonna need to figure out the middle strand now, or not the middle strand, but the shorter strand. I'm thinking that I may actually do a completely separate necklace, just for the simple fact that we are connecting this in the front. Remember, the clasp for this necklace goes in the front. So when you're making a 2-strand necklace, makes it a little bit more difficult. The alternative to that is to attach the second strand somewhere along the beaded section. Sam says I can't get the circling tigers image out of my head. I'm more of a sloth in the forest. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Sloth in the forest. You're so silly. That's before your swim in the morning, right? Because you're definitely not like that all the time. That's how I feel in the mornings before my coffee. I'm a sloth in the forest for sure. Oh gosh. All right. Ruth says, I don't think that I will ever get through stringing without having to take something off and redo something. See, I mean, everybody is like that. I'm serious. Everybody is like that. And it's doubly hard when you're doing something that you know is relatively simple, like we're just stringing beads on wire, but you're also multitasking, trying to read the comments and and carry on a conversation. And yeah, I love sloths too. I saw I don't know what it was, but I saw this video, I think it was on YouTube, where this family had a sloth like in their house. You know, and he just kind of like lived in the foyer of their house. I don't know that I'd ever want one to live in my foyer, but I mean, it was pretty cool. Definitely don't think that's where they need to live, but I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody they can't, I guess. Oh, that's a heck of a commute, Sam. Gross. Yeah, Janelda says she just doesn't like using a board. So occasionally, it really just kind of depends on what I've got going on. Occasionally I'll use a board, but honestly, I'm just a lay it out flat kind of person. I do appreciate a beading board, and I've got some absolutely gorgeous wooden boards that I love. And I will use them for my personal projects, but a lot of times, for at least for this kind of thing, I just lay it out on the bead mat and see what happens, you know. But it does mean that you do a lot of stringing and then unstringing and, you know, trying to figure things out. And I feel like if we would just use the bead board that has all the measurements for us, we probably wouldn't have all those problems. But maybe we're glutton for punishment. I don't know. It's like, I know there's an easier way, but watch me do it the hard way, because that's just sort of the way I am. All right, here's our last bead here. All right, so let me show you. Okay, so this is going to go back behind your neck. You're not going to see it necessarily, but it's still pretty. So if you have your hair up, it's still going to be a really pretty thing. Now, remember, we did that because, hold on, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We're right at 19 inches. I can't complain about that. The reason that we did that, you guys, is because our clasp is in the front. Okay. That's the whole reason behind this. So if you struggle with putting your clasps in the front with stringing projects, this is going to be a good project for you, because we did a little problem solving here. Okay. So the next step is going to be just to crimp this. So I'm going to thread on my crimp bead, my crimp tube rather, and my wire guardian. Now, I don't have anything on this side other than just it's going to be a jump ring. So I'm not going to mess with that at the moment. I'm going to take my wire back down through my crimp. I'm going to pull all the slack out of this because I cut a ridiculously long amount of bead string wire. Trim some of that off. Okay. And then we're going to crimp. So what we want is we want that bead string wire to not be crossing. If you struggle with having room, stick it through a bead, and then that way you can pull it down away from the crimp. Because sometimes, like when you're trying to pull that wire and keep it straight within that crimp tube, and you've got your fingers up here, and then you need to bring your tool in here, sometimes it helps to take it through a bead so that you can pull from down here and you're not crowding out your crimp. Okay, so first notch, give it a crimp. Second notch, give it a little squeeze just to tidy it up. And then we're going to come in with our cutter and trim off. Okay. All right. So this is going to be the front. Okay. Let's grab one of our little jump rings, and then we're going to put this on. And I don't know how much of the second strand we're going to get through, just because we are running out of time here. But I'm going to show you what it's going to be. Okay. So let's do this first. Okay, so there's our jump ring, right? And our jump ring ultimately is going to be what our spring ring attaches to. Okay, so our spring ring is also going to double as our drop point for our component. So another jump ring, and then I'm just going to attach that to the spring ring. So now when you go to open and close your necklace, you want to be sure that you don't accidentally drop off your charm with the stuff on the front, right? Because they're both attached. Your end of your necklace is also attached to the same spot where your focal is going to be. Okay. So now we got to give this focal some weight, because right now it's really, really lightweight. It's not going to pull the necklace down and give it that nice drape that we want. So we've got to add a little something extra to it. Yes, I want to use some of these little purple beads, but I still feel like they're just not quite heavy enough. So let's take a look here. We've got five little rings. This is such a small little component. I wonder if adding these would give it enough, or should bring a pearl in. It's kind of pretty. Then I could use some of the pearls in the purple as well. I just don't know. I think I will. I think I'll add a pearl. I'm taking the wire off of this because I want to do it myself. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let's do knotted head pins with some 24 gauge wire real quick. Okay. Okay. So we're going to do a knotted head pin. I'm using some 24 gauge German style wire in gold so that it matches everything here. And I am using the 24 gauge, which is much smaller than the 22 that I normally use. But roll that around your pliers twice. Okay. The tip of the wire, tip of the pliers. Take the wire, bend it so there's running underneath the two coils that you made. We're going to take that wire. We're going to take it and tuck it, stick it back through the two coils that we made. I can hold on to it. Okay. Then I'm going to take my nylon jaw pliers and I'm going to grab it. The two coils are right up against the edge of the nylon jaw pliers. And I'm going to pull, and that's going to pull a little knot into the end of my wire. And that's going to give me my own little head pin. I'm going to thread on one of these little purple beads. Okay. And I want to wire wrap this directly to the component. So I'm going to trim some of this off. It's still kind of a big, it's all right. All right. So we're going to do a wrapped loop and with a round nose pliers up and over. Yeah, Dottie, that's what I was mentioning just a second ago. You do risk losing that pendant. You just got to be careful because they're attached to the exact same thing. All right, so I ran my loop through the loop on the component. I'm going to hold that with my bent chain nose pliers, and then I'm going to wire wrap. My little knotted head pin is it's a little funny looking. I don't know why. Okay, so there's one. I'll do one over here on the other side. So I've got my scrap, my leftover. Okay. Roll around once, roll around a second time for our next knotted head pin. Take the wire, bend it underneath the two coils. Okay. Take the wire, fold it back through, tuck it into the coils. Nylon jaw pliers again. And then we're going to pull. Okay. Okay, bending the wire. We're going up. Lorena, on my end, it says 379. It's pretty awesome. The more, the merrier. All right, I'm going to do this one over here on the other side, right? The furthest one over. Because we've got these 3 in the middle. That's where I want to add a little bit of weight just so that this pendant hangs properly, because the component itself is very, very lightweight. Okay, I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and trim off. We're definitely not going to make it to the second strand of this, and that's okay. I am gonna I'm gonna talk through what your options are for it. And then I'll just do it and take a picture of it. All right, so here in the middle, I don't necessarily think that the pearl is going to add a whole lot of weight, to be honest with you. But it might give it just enough. Forgot there are those. That's really pretty, but let me tell you, I don't love the wire wrapping on this. I'm just being honest with you. I don't love it. So I'm really tempted to cut it off and do my own. Is that terrible? Does that make me a terrible customer? Like, I'm taking it off. Okay. Maybe it does make me a terrible customer, but I have my reasons. All right, we're going to do another knotted head pin. Okay. Okay, some of you cut yours apart too. Okay. I mean, I appreciate the wire wrapping that's on there. Somebody had to hand do that, and I'm sorry to whoever it was that had to do that, but I trust mine more. You know what I mean? I'm afraid that makes me a snob. I'm not trying to be. Okay. Knotted head pin. And I'm going to put a daisy spacer on the top of this. And I'm going to pop a purple bead on it and see what happens. I might not leave the purple bead on it, but no, I think that's pretty. Okay. So now I'm going to wire wrap this directly to the center there. The 3 little rings right here, they're too close together. If I were using some really, really tiny beads, that would be perfect. Or if I were making some really long layers to hang, that would be perfect. But for this, they're just too close together for what I've got going on. So I'm not going to use these 2. I'm just going to leave them empty. So I'm only using this one in the center. Oh, and I think this will be enough length to make this hang the way I want it to. I mean, not length, weight. Okay. So, oh, that's pretty. That's lovely. And it's so simple, you know, it's just so simple. But what we've got going on here, we've used that spring ring, even though it's one of my least favorite clasps. We've used it in the center. We've made our nice long necklace here. And what we would do next, okay, what I would do next, I'm not going to do it because we are already at an hour. But what I would do next is my next short layer to this is going to be these purple beads. And you could just string the purple beads, you know, just cut another piece of bead stringing wire if you want, and just string these up for your short layer here. But what I was really originally thinking that I would do is, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a wire wrapped beaded chain. So I'm just going to wire wrap those all to each other. Okay. Now here's the issue, because the necklace closes here in the front, but your double strand, like, how are you going to work that out? Right. So It doesn't work if you if you attach this. Let's say we do the wire wrapping when we make our beaded wire chain, okay? And then we just take 2 jump rings and we stick a jump ring between 2 beads. And that's where we attach that drape, right? The short drape. Okay, that works and everything, except for when you go to open your necklace. When you go to open your necklace to put it on, you can't. You can only open it as far as these beads will allow, which is not enough, right? So you either make your necklace long enough to go over your head where you don't actually have to use the clasp at all, or you have to do this as a separate strand. Okay, so it couldn't be a faux drop unless your necklace, like I said, is big enough to go over your head. If it's not big enough to go over your head, you're either going to have to bead an entire length, right? You're going to have to do the whole thing, and you can attach it up here at the back on either side of a bead back here, right? So then that way your clasp still works, it still opens, and you can get it open enough to put it on. Or you just make a completely separate necklace and just wear the 2 together. Okay, so those are your only options when it comes to a clasp in the front, which are things I think a lot of people don't think about when they start designing something, and they're like, oh, I want this to be a multi-strand, but I want that clasp to either be in the front, or I want that clasp to be in the front but over to the side. Well, that makes things a little bit tricky when your clasp actually functions as your clasp, right? So I hope that made sense to you. I'm still going to do the purple. I think I'm going to do the purple and attach it back here on either side of a bead. Then that way I can just kind of move that one out of the way, or whatever I need to do to get it on. But you know, honestly, at that point, if you're going to bead that much of it, you may as well just make it 2 necklaces. And then that way, you know, you can't make a necklace that can't be worn. It's called fashion. Exactly. Right? We'll make this necklace that nobody can actually put on. It's just for show. And the beads are so big, they're like carrying bricks around. Not really, but I mean, that's kind of what he was saying. So that's funny. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of talk you through that, because that's a whole other situation. And that's sort of the things that you got to think about when you're talking about stringing projects. And when you change up where your clasp goes, it kind of alters the entire thing when it comes to putting on a you know, to putting another layer on things and putting your clasp somewhere other than in the back. All right, I'm going to turn y'all around. I think this is going to be really, really pretty when it gets done. I apologize that we're not actually going to get to finish that, but we've been here for an hour watching me string beads. I mean, I'm sorry. Feel like we didn't really do much today. We did talk through some things, and that's good, because we had to figure out what to do for the length on the back of this as well, right? All right, so I'm going to put it on the bust, and we're going to imagine just for a second what it's going to look like with that, these purple beads coming through as a second strand, which I can't really hold up and hold this all at the same time, but it's going to be really, really pretty. I feel like this is gorgeous all by itself. It really doesn't even need that second strand, but I'm really feeling the second strand on this, you know? So either way, I think it's going to be gorgeous. And yeah, I did save these. Can't help myself. I saved my little drusies that had the best sparkle sections to them. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Maybe, yeah, you know, adding another clasp over to one side could be amazing. You could add a whole nother clasp to this in the back if you wanted to, and not use that front clasp at all. It's just the look, you know what I mean? And that is done in jewelry all the time. Just kind of goes back to this jewelry that you can't really wear. And there are things that are non-functional in jewelry all the time. They're just there for show. So, you know, there's no reason why you can't. I just really wanted to use that spring ring clasp because I don't use those at all. Like, I just don't. Is anybody else out there like that? I just don't use them. And so to force this one into my design at the front, That's something that I never would do. So I feel like I grew today. Simple as that was. I grew a little bit. Just a little. Sharon says, can't you just see Sara at night looking at all her special beads? I have a ridiculous amount of special beads that are just, and sometimes I just pull them out and I'm like, I really need to do something with these. Make a great earring, but I will never be able to see it. So maybe I should do like a wire wrapped ring with that open, and then I can see it all the time. That might be what I do. I don't know. Oh, Brenda says, I don't like the spring ring clasps either. They look cheap to me. I've just never had good luck with them. And it's weird because on some of my older vintage pieces of jewelry, that's the kind of clasp that's on them. And I'm always so careful because once you spring that spring, when the spring is sprung inside there, it's done, you know? And I hate to put a new piece on a vintage piece. I mean, I will do it, but I really try to like keep things the way they are. So it always makes me nervous when I've got an old piece of jewelry that has that on it, but they break really, really easily. They're not my favorite. They're just not. I never use them. So I used one today. All right, my friends. So here we are again at the end of another show. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, I had fun. I think we made something beautiful, and we talked through some troubleshooting things that, you know, that are going to come up. Some things that maybe you don't even think about until you're right in the middle of them. So, you know, I hope I helped somebody out there and I inspired you with these beads, because I know this palette was a challenge for some of you. Continues to be a challenge for some of you. I think the gold is probably the part that people are having the biggest struggle with. There's a lot of times you're either a gold person or a silver person, and there is no in between. And I know that when you're making jewelry, it's really easy just to stick with silver, just because that's usually what your customers go for. But you do have some gold loving customers out there. So every now and then you might want to think outside your silver box. I get stuck in a silver rut too. So, you know, sometimes using gold is a challenge, but all right, y'all, have a good afternoon. Don't forget, Hardwired group is open for enrollment for the whole rest of the week. So go on over there if you want to come and join us. Submit your application into the group. Make sure you get the questions. If you don't, reapply, okay? And we'll get you taken care of. I won't. I'm not the we. Kathy will get you taken care of. She's the boss. I don't ever want it to sound like I'm behind all, because I'm not. Like, that group wouldn't even exist. I mean, we would exist, but in like the sense of like herding cats, it would be a disaster. So Kathy is like our, you know, she takes care of us. Gia says carnelian is what I struggle with. I can help you all day, every day with carnelian. Like, I love it. Okay, y'all have a great. At least she did it again. I love it. I love it. All right. Y'all have a great rest of the afternoon. I'll see you guys again. I'll see Hardwired group at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'll see the rest of you here on Feel Good Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And that'll be it for me. I love you guys so, so much. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.